Η περασμένη χρονιά ήταν σημαντική για όλους τους κατοίκους της Σκωτίας
So far, so good.
και για τα σπάνια και απειλούμενα ζώα που ζουν εδώ.
He's so ginger. 100% belongs in this country.
Στο Εδιμβούργο και στο πάρκο άγριας ζωής, αφοσιωμένοι εργαζόμενοι βρίσκονται στην πρώτη γραμμή της προστασίας εδώ και πάνω από έναν αιώνα. Για μεγάλες δουλειές,
The first of many.
ή μικρά είδη.
There's a special place in your heart for the small things. So you drop the tank, you mess it up, game over.
Θα γνωρίσουμε τα 260 άτομα που εργάζονται για την προστασία 3.000 μοναδικών ζώων.
I like Kato more than I like most people.
I'm obviously especially in love with Sale.
Σε αυτήν τη δουλειά η κάθε μέρα είναι διαφορετική.
You're wondering what I'm doing, aren't you?
Oh, he's right behind you again.
Και η κάθε στιγμή είναι μοναδική.
Getting the chance to work with these guys is incredible. Dream job. They're super cute, so it's all worth it, really.
Καλώς ήρθατε στον Ζωολογικό Κήπο. Η διατήρηση της άγριας ζωής είναι η πεμπτουσία των εργασιών που εκτελούνται στο πάρκο άγριας ζωής των Highlands και επί του παρόντος, ένα από τα μεγαλύτερα έργα του είναι η διάσωση των αγριόγατων της Σκωτίας. Μία αφοσιωμένη ομάδα εργάζεται σε ένα πρόγραμμα αναπαραγωγής και απελευθέρωσης που ελπίζει να δει τις αγριόγατες στη Σκωτία να ευδοκιμούν ξανά στο φυσικό τους περιβάλλον.
This is offshore to the public. This is the really quiet, remote part of the wildlife park. What we're building here, the breeding enclosures. So this is where the cats will come over the next couple of months. We'll pair them up for breeding.
Έχει εξασφαλιστεί τεράστια χρηματοδότηση και υποστήριξη 5,5 εκατομμυρίων λιρών τόσο από εθνικούς όσο και από διεθνείς εταίρους. Το νέο κέντρο εκτροφής αποτελεί κορυφαία προτεραιότητα. Υπάρχουν 4 διπλά καταλύματα υποκατασκευή που θα φιλοξενήσουν 16 ελουροειδή αναπαραγωγής, μερικοί από τους απογόνους των οποίων μπορεί να απελευθερωθούν στα Highlands της Σκωτίας. Η πρώτη φάση του έργου διαμορφώνεται.
Hey Steve, how's things? How are the frames going for the doors? All right? Oh, nice. Good.
Very good.
It's all of our own guys that are doing it, which is fantastic. I mean, as you can see, they're doing a fantastic job.
Είναι ομαδική προσπάθεια.
We're all learning as we're going, but we're getting it done.
Aye. Uncharted territory for a lot of us, I think, in this.
A decision.
Yeah.
When it comes to latching these gates here, you've got 2 options. First is to put a wooden block there that extends by it and has a hole drilled in it.
Yeah. I certainly won't lie and say that I had a hammer in my hand for 9 months or anything like that, but I designed the facility, looked at all the different options, where we could put it in the park, the type of enclosures that we would build. So it's been incredibly exciting. Really, it's you know, a huge praise to the construction team that we have in the park to bring this to life. This was started in the structures early October. So I mean, for all of this to go up in the space of 3-4 months is incredible. We'll just block this up completely with timber or something or mesh.
The option 2 is a loop of high tensile fencing wire.
You could drill a hole through that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We only offer them 2 things to decide from, you see. You give them more options, it gets more complicated.
Τα περιβλήματα έχουν σχεδιαστεί για να ελαχιστοποιούν την ανθρώπινη επαφή και να παρέχουν στις γάτες αναπαραγωγής ένα ασφαλές σπίτι που διατηρεί στοιχεία διαβίωσης στην άγρια φύση.
They've got a good amount of height, so we can make complex areas for the cats, so the cats can be physically and mentally stimulated. Size of these enclosures and the amount of natural vegetation in these enclosures, the cats will hopefully revert back to their sort of natural activity patterns. They'll grow probably an increasing dislike for humans, which is what we want. When we come up here to feed them or to change water, they'll go and hide, so we'll never see them.
Εξαρτώνται πολλά από την επιτυχία αυτού του εγχειρήματος.
We're just doing everything we can to give wildcat survival the best chance. Hopefully it will be a very nice highland home for the cats.
185 χιλιόμετρα νοτιοανατολικά του πάρκου άγριας ζωής, ανάμεσα στην ποικιλόμορφη συλλογή πουλιών του Ζωολογικού Κήπου του Εδιμβούργου, ζει ο Φίλιπ, μια διάσημη ζωηρή φραγκόκοτα, καθώς και η σύντροφός του και οι δύο κόρες τους. Μία από αυτές, η οποία δεν έχει ακόμα όνομα, βρέθηκε σήμερα το πρωί με σπασμένο πόδι και τώρα βρίσκεται στο κτηνίατριο. Εάν η ζημιά στο μυριαίο οστό της φραγκόκοτος είναι ανεπανόρθωτη, ο Άνταμ δεν θα έχει άλλη επιλογή από την να της κάνει ευθανασία. Μια ακτινογραφία δείχνει ότι το πόδι είναι θρυμματισμένο σε πολλά κομμάτια.
There's always that decision about what the prognosis is when we first assess a new case and how bad things look. Those initial x-rays really give us that information. It's quite a nasty fracture, so the bone is actually broken into three separate sections with some nasty longitudinal fractures in there rather than just transverse across the bone. And so there's always that debate of, do we want to put the animal through quite a major surgery? But I think on balance this is a young bird. It was only hatched last year, and so we wanted to give her the best possible chance.
Με τη φραγκόκοτα αναισθητοποιημένη, ο Άνταμ, με τη βοήθεια της κτηνίατρου Στεφ και της κτηνιατρικής νοσοκόμας Χάνα, ξεκινά μια επεμβατική λεπτή χειρουργική επέμβαση.
So I've just opened up over the fracture site, so the bone is broken into three pretty big pieces, and I've run a pin all the way down through those pieces, and we're just going to check the location of that.
Χρειάζεται ακόμα μια ακτινογραφία.
Okay, great. If we evacuate, we're just going to take a quick X-ray in theatre. I've still got some more pinning to do, but I just want to check the location of that first pin before we go further. It's not a very nice looking fracture, so I just want to make sure if this has got a good prognosis to keep going, because otherwise there's no point putting the bird through this.
Τα οστά των κτηνών είναι εκπληκτικά πλούσια σε μεταλλικά στοιχεία. Αυτό δημιουργεί πολύ συγκεκριμένα προβλήματα.
They're more inclined to just shatter into lots of pieces. And they also, with particularly fractures at the femur, it's one of the few places in the bird which is surrounded by lots of muscles. So as soon as the bone breaks, all the muscles pull it in, and the bone just gets concertinaed up into pieces.
Η κτηνίατρος όμως βλέπει ότι ο Άνταμ έβαλε τον πρώτο πύρο στο σωστό σημείο.
Perfect. Yeah.
Is there
here?
Yeah, there isn't a fracture beyond that, is there? That is okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
Yeah. All good. And
Good.
it's all fine.
Yeah, good.
Perfect, Adam. Well done.
Well, that's step one. Yeah. It's not, won't get too happy yet. So we've got a pin position down the middle of all of the fragments now, so they're all in a row and lined up. I need to put some pins in the outside now. Ideally getting them into the areas of bone which are strong and not involved in the fracture, to give some pin support on the outside to stop everything twisting around the pin which is down the middle. So I'm just going to figure out my best location to put those.
Η δημιουργία ενός περίπλοκου πλαισίου από πύρους μήκους 9 εκατοστών κατά μήκος του θρυμματισμένου μυριαίου είναι η μόνη ελπίδα για να ενωθούν τα ευαίσθητα οστά μεταξύ τους, δίνοντας στο νεαρό πτηνό την ευκαιρία να επιβιώσει. Σε ολόκληρο το πάρκο άγριας ζωής των Highlands και τον Ζωολογικό Κήπο του Εδιμβούργου, για να διατηρούν τα ζώα στην καλύτερη δυνατή υγεία, οι φύλακες έχουν ένα συνεχές πρόγραμμα εκπαίδευσης, όπου ενθαρρύνουν τα ζώα να κάνουν χρήσιμα πράγματα με αντάλλαγμα λιχουδιές. Στην περίφραξη των γιγάντιων Πάντα, η Άλισον έχει προγραμματίσει μια προπόνηση με το αρσενικό Πάντα, τον Γιάνγκ Ουάνγκ.
We're not training them to do tricks or anything like that. All the training that we do on section is for veterinary purposes. We'll have a chat with the vets and say, well, you know, what exactly is it that you would want to train this animal to do? And with the pandas, there came quite a long list.
Στην κορυφή της λίστας σήμερα η Άλισον θα συνεργαστεί με τον Γιάνγκ Ουάνγκ, εκπαιδεύοντάς τον ώστε να επιτρέψει στους κτηνίατρους να του κάνουν εξετάσεις αίματος και να του χορηγήσουν εμβόλια.
We look at what's the easiest way for him to succeed at the training. When you watch the pandas, they'll naturally sit down. They'll quite often hold on to something. So then you think, okay, if we want to get a blood draw, what's the best way to do it? Well, the best way to do it is get him to hold on to something and put his arm out. And the vet needs to have his arm in a certain way so that he can get in between the bit of muscle and where the vein runs and get into it.
Ο Γιάνγκ Ουάνγκ ξέρει ακριβώς τι θέλει από αυτόν η Άλισον.
This is a blood sleeve. And good boy. There we go. Right on. Good boy. Right. While he's on here and holding on, Realistically, he can't pull his paw back. The pandas have formidable claws, and most animals that you can see that look slightly bow-legged when they're walking, bears, and they walk with the toes turned in, that allows them to fold their paws round and grip the trees. And Giάνγκ Ουάνγκ can pretty much run up a telegraph pole, and it is something that they'll use to swipe as well. Yeah, you have to be extremely careful when you're working around about them. He's trained to hold on very tightly, and he's very good at this and very relaxed while we're doing it. But we will reinforce this training by holding and touching in here, as this is what the vet would do to find the vein. And he'd maybe poke in and hold on here and just touch and press. And all the time I'm doing this, I'm very aware of what this is doing on that hand. And I can still feel him gripping very, very tightly. So I know at this point, I'm more than safe to do all this. I would love to think that Giánγκ Ουάνγκ wouldn't deliberately hurt me, but he is an animal, and if he gets annoyed and decides to swipe, then he could hurt me. So I just never take that chance. Especially with bears, they don't have a huge amount of facial expressions as to whether they're getting annoyed or frustrated or anything like that. Good boy. What a star. Good boy. Right, finished.
Στο κτηνίατριο και μία ώρα μετά το χειρουργείο, ο Άνταμ, η Στεφ και η Χάνα εξακολουθούν να εργάζονται για την κατασκευή μιας δομής γύρω από το μοιραίο οστό της φραγκόκοτας, χρησιμοποιώντας μεταλλικούς πύρους 1 χιλιοστού.
So that lower pin has gone in fine, and it's nice and stable so essentially it's gone through one side of the bone and then just outside the other side of the bone, so it's gripping both of them, which is what we want.
Το μοιραίο οστό της φραγκόκοτας που εκτείνεται από το ισχύο μέχρι το γόνατο έχει πάχος μόνο 5 πόντων και 7 χιλιοστών. Το μικροσκοπικό τρυπάνι του Άνταμ κάνει τρύπες στο μισό μέγεθος για να ασφαλίσει πύρους στερέωσης σε όλο το μήκος του.
I think that is probably the best we can do with that. I'm fairly happy with how the pins have gone in, so we'll try that for now and secure everything up. We might take another X-ray as well and just see where things are, but yeah, I'm pretty happy so far.
Έχουν περάσει ώρες και ο Άνταμ έχει επιτέλους τοποθετήσει όλους τους πύρους.
Done! Thank God. Right. We are almost there. I just need to create an external fixator, which is essentially a bar that runs on the outside of the leg and ties together all of those pins that we put in to hold everything rigid. So I'm just going to sort out the wound, which is a bit sore at the moment, and then we'll create that bar. But we're done for everything surgical, really, which is good.
Ο Άνταμ και η Στεφ έχουν βρει μια έξυπνη λύση για να στερεωθεί η ράβδος στους πύρους.
So this is actually dental putty, which is very handy for lots of things. You can fix tortoise shell fractures with it, and we've done beak deformities we fix with it as well. So we use it for all kinds of things. But it's essentially a powder and liquid that mix together, and then it sets.
Ο Άνταμ και η Στεφ πρέπει να είναι πολύ γρήγοροι.
You want to be able to get it so it's a moldable ball.
Ο στόκος μετατρέπεται από μαστίχα σε πέτρα μέσα σε λίγα λεπτά.
This was still slightly sticky, isn't it? Okay. Look. How's that feeling?
It's okay.
It's okay, isn't it? It's feeling okay. We've done the best fixation we can on that leg.
Καθώς το τεχνικό κομμάτι έχει ολοκληρωθεί, φτάνουμε στην τελική δυσκολία.
We're almost at a point of recovering her now, so that's always a bit of a worrying time with any anaesthetic, particularly with birds. Recovery is always a bit. Okay. Yeah, so recovery is always a bit of a time we have to monitor them really closely, and they can have a problem. But I think so far so good. The behaviour of the patient is really important for us. With a human, for example, if you break a bone, then the doctor will tell you to rest up and take it easy and not put weight on the leg. We don't have that luxury with animals. Guinea fowl particularly have a massive panic response. So we really, thank you. So we really just want her to have a nice, calm recovery. The healing part of the process is absolutely as critical as the surgery itself, and so there's quite a prolonged period of hoping that she will continue to behave well.
It's okay.
Yeah, just gathering everything up when she explodes.
Για να διασφαλιστεί ότι η φραγκόκοτα δεν θα καταστρέψει όλο το εργόχειρο του Άνταμ, θα την κρατήσουν στο λεγόμενο κουτί ανάπαυσης, όπου θα παραμένει ζεστή, στεγνή και καλοταϊσμένη. Στο πάρκο άγριας ζωής των Highlands, οι οικοδομικές εργασίες για τον χώρο των αγριόγατων προχωρούν με ρυθμό. Μπαίνουν τα θεμέλια για νέα γραφεία και κτηνιατρία και συνεχίζονται οι εργασίες για το κέντρο αναπαραγωγής.
We're just finishing off branching and putting cover and furniture in for these enclosures. So it starts with putting logs up. We can then add browse, which is all the stuff you can see here. So some of it's natural and native. So we've got pine and spruce. And then we've also got Leylandii, which is not natural or native, but it's really good for cover and it keeps its colour for a lot longer.
Οι φροντίστριες Ρέιτσελ και Σάντρα βεβαιώνονται πως τα ελουροειδή αλλά και τα μελλοντικά μικρά τους θα έχουν ένα άνετο νέο σπίτι.
It's really important that we get these enclosures right because this is where these cats are going to be placed to breed. Number one is they need to feel comfortable. So they need to have places they can hide, lots of high to get places where they feel out of reach, but also that don't feel too exposed. So we want it to be natural as much as possible. We've still got a few more things to add in here, but particularly things like shelves, and we're about to bring in nest boxes this afternoon so that they've got places to hide.
Η φύλακας Εστέλ που μετακόμισε πρόσφατα εδώ από το πάρκο άγριας ζωής Cotswold περνάει ένα χέρι βαφή στα κουτιά της φωλιάς. Έχει αναπτύξει έναν υγιή σεβασμό για τις αγριόγατες.
They're so hardy and they're so fierce and strong, and I think that says a lot actually. You know, they're not to be messed with. I remember my first day down looking after some, I was like, are they always this mean? Are they, you know, it's like going in with a tiger or a lion or something. You know, they've just got these huge personalities. They're just so feisty and they're not scared to tell you.
Η επίτευξη των καλύτερων αποτελεσμάτων στην εκτροφή αυτών των πεισματάρικων πλασμάτων απαιτεί επίσης προσεκτικό σχεδιασμό των χώρων αναπαραγωγής.
When we're breeding cats for release, there's a long process into pairing individuals. Those individuals will mate, hopefully, and produce kittens. And we will monitor them much more remotely with CCTV. It looks a bit more like a forest than it does an enclosure, and that's really what we're aiming for.
Η μικρή αγριόκατα έχει παράσχει στους φύλακες και ένα νέο kit εργαλείων που χρειάζονταν πολύ.
Well, these are nice shiny new ones.
I know, they're good, aren't they? They're not going to last that long though, are they?
It's great. New shovels, new tools. Certainly we've gained a few muscles in the last couple of days, sure. Bark's a really good substrate because it's natural and they like to bury their feces like all cats do. So we do need to add something like that.
Το πρόγραμμα για τη διάσωση των αγριόγατων είναι μια ευκαιρία για φύλακες όπως η Ρέιτσελ που εργαζόταν στο παρελθόν στο τμήμα σαρκοφάγων.
The fact that there was a chance to work solely with them and it being such an important conservation project, it's really the dream job that I wanted.
Αυτή θα είναι η πρώτη άδεια κυκλοφορίας αγριόγατων στα Highlands της Σκωτίας.
We need to make sure that they're healthy, but we also need to make sure they can hunt and survive in the wild once we've reintroduced them. So yeah, it's exciting, but we need to make sure we get everything right. No pressure.
Μεταξύ των 30 και πλέον ειδών πουλιών εδώ στον Ζωολογικό Κήπο είναι και ένα κοπάδι από 7 λευκούς πελεκάνους. Με τα αρχεία απολιθωμάτων να χρονολογούνται 30 εκατομμύρια χρόνια πίσω, αυτά τα αρχεία πουλιά συναντώνται συνήθως σε λίμνες γλυκού νερού και δέλτα σε μέρη της Ευρώπης και της Αφρικής. Η πρώτη περίφραξη για πελεκάνους εδώ στο Εδιμβούργο χτίστηκε πριν από περίπου 100 χρόνια, αλλά πρόσφατα εξυγχρονίστηκε με την εγκατάσταση γυάλινων πάνελ. Το κοινό έχει καλύτερη θέα, αλλά αυτό σημαίνει περισσότερη δουλειά για τους φροντιστές Νικ και Μπάρι.
First job you ever learn when you're a zookeeper. Everybody thinks it's all glamorous. The first thing you do is learn how to do windows.
There's probably like 120 windows, got to clean on both sides, so it's a big job.
Και ενώ ο Νίκ ήρθε στον Ζωολογικό Κήπο πέρυσι, ο Μπάρι είναι εδώ δεκαετίες ολόκληρες.
I started 22 years ago. Primarily my job is to be out in the park doing talks and tours, all that kind of stuff.
Όμως πριν από τη ζωή στο Ζωολογικό Κήπο, ο Μπάρι είχε πολλές δουλειές.
Used to do a wee bit of sort of gig stuff, did a wee bit of bodyguarding. So, and ironically, I was a window cleaner as well. Not that that's showing right now, but you know.
Παρά την προϋπηρεσία του υπάρχει ένα πράγμα από το οποίο ο Μπάρι δεν μπορεί να προστατεύσει τον Νίκ.
There's a certain smell. There's definitely a certain smell. But it's not bad. There are worse jobs in the zoo. It's more the fact it's just never ending.
Η ατελείωτη ιστορία του καθαρισμού στο Ζωολογικό Κήπο είναι απαραίτητη για τη διασφάλιση των υψηλότερων επιπέδων καλής μεταχείρισης των ζώων και την αποφυγή θανατηφόρων ιών.
Our pelicans moved down into the next enclosure about 4 months ago and moving back because the rules about avian flu of influenza have changed. And that'd be great because some kind of enclosure is designed for them, whereas the enclosure down there isn't really. So it's a much bigger space for them. It'd be good to get them back.
Η επιστροφή των μελεκάνων μπορεί να χρειαστεί να αναβληθεί καθώς ο Μπάρι βρήκε μερικούς νέους κατοίκους στη λίμνη.
Discovered quite a lot of frog spawn around the edges, and because we want to protect, especially our native species, we don't want to affect the frog spawn in any way. Because a number of years ago, a fungal disease which was chytiridiomycosis, or chytirid for short, and there was this massive risk of losing like 80% of the world's population of amphibians. And so the minute there's any threat to amphibian life or anything that we see, we're like, right, okay, we just want to give them a chance. So we're just going to leave that area looking slightly messy at the moment, but it's for a good cause. What isn't endangered nowadays, to be honest?
Ένα άλλο ζώο που κινδυνεύει είναι η φραγκόκοτα που έσπασε το μυριαίο οστό της. Έχουν περάσει 24 ώρες από τότε που ο Άνταμ και η ομάδα εργάστηκαν για να καρφώσουν το σπασμένο πόδι της.
The keepers have checked her this morning and she's eaten well overnight, so that's good. But yeah, we just need to make sure all the metal work that we put in yesterday is still in place. Yeah. No, it looks good. Okay, that's great. Yeah, if I can just I'll just give them a little bit of a clean at the pin sites.
Το ξέπλυμα της πληγής με αποστηρωμένο αλατούχο διάλειμμα μειώνει τον κίνδυνο μόλυνσης.
Sorry, cat, you might get wet. Sorry, it's cold.
Apologising to her, I mean. She's quite liking that.
There it is. There we go. That's fine. Okay, great. The first 24 hours after a major accident and a major surgery like that, there's just the fact that she's made it through the night and she's stable is a really good sign on its own. She's also standing on the leg, which is good. She's putting it to the ground and putting a good amount of weight on it, which is a really good sign. And I think probably the biggest concern we had was that she wasn't going to be calm and she might re-break the wound or re-break our fixation. But actually she's really calm.
Όμως αυτή η νεαρή φραγκόκοτα δεν έχει βγει ακόμα από τον κίνδυνο.
It's still a big break that needs to heal and we're very, very early days and there's plenty of things that could still go wrong, but I think everything is doing as it should at the moment, and the fact that she's eating and calm is a really good sign for so soon after the surgery.
Από τις αρχές του 2020, ο Ζωολογικός Κήπος του Εδιμβούργου και το Πάρκο Άγριας Ζωής των Highlands έπρεπε να οικειοποιηθούν τη δύναμη του διαδικτύου για να βάλουν τα εκατοντάδες ζώα που τους φροντίζουν στα σπίτια των ανθρώπων.
Hi guys, welcome to Facebook Live. My name's Jasper, I'm the Education Officer at the Highland Wildlife Park.
Στα Highlands, ο Jasper πραγματοποιεί την πρώτη του ζωντανή μετάδοση στο Facebook Live για τους 100.000 και πλέον ακολούθους του πάρκου.
You can see what Debbie's doing. She's just clipping off some of the old hoof.
Η Λόρα και η Jasmine από την ομάδα επικοινωνίας είναι σε ετοιμότητα για υποστήριξη.
Thank you very much for allowing me to film you and talk to you. This has been absolutely fascinating.
Και είναι πολύ σημαντικό να πούν στον Jasper που έκανε ζωντανή μετάδοση για πρώτη φορά πώς τα πήγε.
You're happy with that?
So far we've had 1.1 thousand people watching, and that has been in
13 minutes, so we've posted the video to the Facebook page so people can go in and watch it maybe later on when they've finished, so that'll stay on the page now. So that went amazing.
This is all new learning tech for me, this is.
But it's done really well. First Facebook Live part.
Ζωντανές εικονικές συνεδρίες εκμάθησης υπάρχουν και στις δύο τοποθεσίες και στο Εδιμβούργο. Οι ρινόκεροι Σαντζέι και Καμπίπ έχουν κάνει αίσθηση στο διαδίκτυο, όπου παρουσιάζονται με υπερηφάνεια από την φροντίστρια Έρικα και τον υπεύθυνο εκπαίδευσης Μπλερ.
This is amazing, isn't it? And if I hold this up here, look at that lip go. Oh, yum, yum. And there's a huge amount of slobber involved in feeding rhinos too. Lovely.
Έχοντας ξεκινήσει πριν από 1,5 χρόνο, αυτές οι ζωντανές συνεδρίες από τον Ζωολογικό Κήπο και το πάρκο έφεραν το μήνυμά τους για τη διάσωση ειδών σε πάνω από 20.000 άτομα. Στα Highlands, ο Τζάσπερ θέλει να εντείνει το αυξανόμενο διαδικτυακό ενδιαφέρον για τους συναρπαστικούς κατοίκους του πάρκου.
Looking for some food for a scatter feed.
Ετοιμάζεται να μιλήσει ζωντανά σε μερικά παιδιά του δημοτικού μαζί με έναν από τους μεγαλύτερους και πιο πεινασμένους κατοίκους του πάρκου.
Apples, tomatoes and carrots and a very big fish.
Τον Walker, την πολική αρκούδα. Η έντονη όσφρηση του Walker τον έφερε ακριβώς εκεί όπου τον θέλει ο Τζάσπερ. Όμως οι πολικές αρκούδες δεν φημίζονται για την υπομονή τους.
Well, I've asked to join the meeting so they can let me in. Just as the bear walks away. Don't go. It's a bit difficult when you start, decides to leave. He's all the way over there. Walk up! Come on!
Η παράσταση όμως πρέπει να συνεχιστεί.
Welcome to the Highland Wildlife Park. My name's Jasper. How you doing? You want to learn about polar bears?
Ο Τζάσπερ κάνει το μόνο πράγμα που μπορεί να φέρει πίσω τον Walker.
Oh, he's coming over now. When he stands up on his back legs and he stretches up high, he is twice my height. They are enormous.
Όσο ο Walker τρώει, ο Τζάσπερ μπορεί να δώσει στα παιδιά ανατριχιαστικές λεπτομέρειες για τις πολικές αρκούδες.
Now, how old are you guys? 5? Now, to give you an idea on how much meat a polar bear would eat in a day, they eat approximately 20 to 40 kilos of meat per day per bear. Now, you're probably thinking, well, how big's 20 to 40 kilos? It's about the average size of a 5-year-old. What colour fur does a polar bear have? Not white. Their fur is not white. It is actually clear like glass. If we look at him when he opens his mouth, you'll notice he's got a tooth missing. That's because I've got it. He had a sore tooth, so he had to take his tooth out so that he would feel better. What colour is their skin? Well done! It is black. I'm going to say goodbye, guys. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Με τον Τζάσπερ να τα βρίσκει μαγικά με την τεχνολογία, μια πεινασμένη πολική αρκούδα και μια τάξη γεμάτη από περίεργα παιδιά, αποδεικνύεται ότι η εργασία με ζώα και παιδιά δεν είναι τελικά τόσο δύσκολη.
So, I must admit, I was a little bit concerned at one point. He was just going, no, don't want to play. I'm staying where I am.
Στο Εδιμβούργο, στην περίφραξη των γιγάντιων Πάντα, η Άλισον είναι άλλο ένα άτομο που ξέρει πώς να βγάλει τον καλύτερο εαυτό των ζώων.
Right, I think that should just about be enough. You?
Συνεχίζει την εκπαίδευση με τον Γιάνγκ Ουάνγκ.
What a good boy. Yeah, you're going to come in here. Let's see how this works.
Κάθε φορά που χρειάζεται να μετακινηθούν τα πάντα, οι φροντιστές χρησιμοποιούν ένα ειδικά κατασκευασμένο κλουβί, το οποίο χρησιμοποιείται και για υγειονομικούς ελέγχους.
We always had these plates here, and the idea was that we could get them to stick their legs out, and if we needed to do an X-ray of the foot or something. But we modified the crate a little bit because he's got a little claw that overgrows. And the vet keeps needing to trim it. So the idea is we maybe train him to let his feet come out. Right, shall we try this? Scooch in. Good boy. What a clever man.
Υπάρχει όμως ένα πρόβλημα. Το πόδι του Γιάνγκ Ουάνγκ εξακολουθεί να μην είναι αρκετά ευθυγραμμισμένο με την τρύπα που έκανε ο σιδεράς.
That's the claw there that curls. Okay. So ideally, this is a claw here. That is the problem, this one. Push that foot round a bit. You just need to put your foot through the hole. That's all you need to do. So if we go back to our amazing blacksmith and say to him that we possibly need a slightly more, oh look, he's almost there, more of a modification to just take this bar here out and run across here and make a slightly bigger door. That fits through. As you can see, that is perfect. And now it's not. Is it a wee bit strange? Good boy. Good boy. I just don't need that foot. I need that one.
Όμως καμία ευκαιρία δεν πάει χαμένη και παρόλο που μπορεί να είναι το λάθος πόδι, όλα χρησιμοποιούνται για να ενισχύσουν τη συνεργασία.
Touching the foot. Oh, let me touch that foot. What a good boy. Hey? What a good boy.
Ωστόσο, όπως συμβαίνει με κάθε εκπαίδευση στο ζωολογικό κήπο, πραγματοποιείται με τους όρους του ζώου και όταν ο Γιάνγκ Ουάνγκ χορτάσει έρχεται η ώρα να σταματήσει. «80 περίπου χιλιόμετρα βορειότερα, οι φροντίστριες Άλεξ, Τζούντιθ και Σοφία ετοιμάζονται να πιάσουν τις αγριόγατες για τον απαραίτητο ετήσιο έλεγχο υγείας τους.
Yeah, so Ranach has been twice our successful breeding male before with our female Catherine.
Ορισμένες από αυτές τις γάτες προορίζονται να μετακομίσουν στο νέο κέντρο αναπαραγωγής και να γίνουν μέρος του εγχειρήματος διάσωσης. Επομένως, είναι σημαντικό να διασφαλιστεί ότι είναι υγιείς και απαλλαγμένες από ασθένειες.
If you stand in the Kηπο porch, yes.
Αποδεικνύεται ότι ο έλεγχος τους είναι τόσο δύσκολος όσο ακούγεται.
Twist it. Well done. Very good. You grab him when you're secure. You let me know, okay? Scruff him. If you're secure, you say when, okay, Sophia?
Okay, yeah, lift the neck.
Okay?
Και οι συγκεκριμένες είναι αγριόγατες, όνομα και πράμα.
Best thing, Sophia, to push him down. So once he's on his front, push him down.
So I feel like the gloves are not.
Can you manage to scruff him from there?
Like I've got him, but it's like the lightest bit of skin. The wildcat doesn't understand why you're trying to catch them. Like with any animal, you know, animals are always going to get scared if you can't explain to them that I'm catching you for your health.
Drop. Perfect. Okay. Oh. Well done, Sophia. Well done. Yeah. And not the kittens we usually catch.
You do wish sometimes that's probably the dream thing you have as a keeper is if you could actually speak to animals, because a lot of these situations would become a lot less stressful if they just sat there, let you give them a vaccination or something and it's done.
We often get visitors who say I've got a feisty cat at home, but I don't think they do.
Στο ζωολογικό κήπο του Εδιμβούργου ένα άλλο παρεάκι από έντονους χαρακτήρες είναι οι επτάλευκοι πελεκάνοι, οι οποίοι έχουν συγκεντρωθεί για να κάνουν το εμβόλιό τους πριν επιστρέψουν στην ανακαινισμένη τους περίφραξη. Με ράμφη μήκους σχεδόν μισού μέτρου, ο Στον ξέρει ότι μπορεί να είναι λίγο επικίνδυνη και καλείται για ενίσχυση.
We've got the whole team today because it can sometimes be a bit tricky to catch them, herd them in. It's enough of us down here to do a quick catch there and hopefully it all gets done quickly and smoothly. What we'll do is we'll catch them, bring them out and do it out there. And you can see they know what's going on. There's one in particular that we all fight over who's not catching her up, and that's the yellow banded one. She tends to go for your face when you're anywhere near her, so that's going to be the trickiest one to catch, so we'll try and avoid her.
Οι πελεκάνοι, αν και μεγάλοι, είναι μικρού βάρους, αλλά αποτελούν ιδιαίτερο πρόβλημα.
I have in times had their beaks around my head. They have got a fair-sized beak, but there's not a lot of power generated in them. But they do have little ridges inside, which can be quite sharp. So it's almost like getting lots and lots of paper cuts at once. But so they can be quite sharp and leave scratches and things on your face. So you've got to be really careful. We're good to go.
Με τους πάντες να ενημερώνονται για τη διαδικασία, ο Στον χρειάζεται τον πρώτο πρόθυμο συνεργό του.
Who wants to come in and do some pelican catching? Who's first?
Όμως πριν καν τον αγγίξει η φροντίστρια Τζορτζίνα,
Do you guys want two birds just now, actually?
έχουν έναν δραπέτη. Θα πρέπει πρώτα να αντιμετωπίσουν το χειρότερο.
So this was the yellow-banded one we've all tried to avoid getting.
Ο κτηνίατρος Άνταμ και μια ομάδα φοιτητών κτηνιάτρων προετοιμάζονται για τον πρώτο πελεκάνο.
Hello. Okay. We've got the aggressive one first.
Oh dear, you've got some bashes on the face. Okay.
Μια κοινή πάθηση στους πελεκάνους σχετίζεται με τα πόδια τους.
So there's a bit of overgrowth of the keratin there. There's a little bit of early bum foot, but actually we monitor these every year and they haven't changed. The main, I guess, problem that we monitor in our pelicans is that some of them have some changes on their feet called pododermatitis. The good thing is that we tend to see very little change year on year, so we're happy with that. With, I guess, anything that goes wrong in an animal, we always want to record it, and we'll describe it in our clinical notes, but the best way to make a record is with a photo, so we tend to have lots of photos on our phones of different strange bits of animal.
Με φωτογραφίες των ποδιών που αρχιοθετούνται για μελλοντική αναφορά, τα πτηνά μπορούν να εμβολιαστούν και να απελευθερωθούν, κάτι που δεν μπορεί να γίνει σύντομα για τα πιο ζόρικα της παρέας.
Yeah, that went quite nicely, and we got the aggressive one first, so the rest should be easy now.
Ή και όχι.
Yeah, we just want to try and really get keep the wings nice and tight into the body, and if we can control the feet as well, we can just give them less way to wriggle.
Με ακόμη και τους πιο προβληματικούς πελεκάνους να έχουν εμβολιαστεί, ο Στον μπορεί να αναπνεύσει ανακουφισμένος.
Well, yeah, it went quite well actually. There was no major issue with the birds. Nothing got any worse. Body scoring was fine, and the bird got the vaccination quite nicely, so it was fairly quick and smooth. So birds are nice out in their main exhibit now, which is just ready to reopen for the public. It's like they've never been away.
Έξω από την περίφραξη των γιγάντιων πάντα στον Ζωολογικό Κήπο του Εδιμβούργου, ένα περωνοφόρο, ανυψωτικό, βαρέους τύπου, γνωστό και ως τηλεχειριστής, έφτασε για να μεταφέρει το κυφότιο των 200 κιλών στον σιδηρουργό του Ζωολογικού Κήπου για ορισμένες τροποποιήσεις. Ο σιδηρουργός είναι ο Ραμπ, υπεύθυνος για την κατασκευή και τη συντήρηση μεγάλου μέρους της μεταλλοτεχνίας του Ζωολογικού Κήπου, τόσο πρακτικής όσο και διακοσμητικής.
It's good working with the keepers. Obviously they've got the best interest in animals. That's the priority. A lot of times you come to loggerheads because I just want to get the job done, and they're saying no for the animal. So you've got to learn to deal with that side of things, which is they're right because animals are more important. When we first built that, now it's had scales added to it. Then you've got the perspex added to it. So there's always stuff. Obviously Άλισον keeps me right what she's wanting.
I need a favour, right?
I don't work for Brazil, I work for Άλισον.
Η σημερινή αποστολή του Ραμπ είναι να διευρύνει την οπή του αριστερού ποδιού για τον Γιάνγκ Ουάνγκ. Ο Ραμπ δουλεύει στο Ζωολογικό Κήπο αρκετά χρόνια πλέον, αλλά αρχικά δεν ήταν σίγουρος αν ήταν το σωστό μέρος για αυτόν.
Got the job, so I phoned my wife up and said, look, I've got the job, and I was panicking, you know, and she goes, well, when you get a chance to work at a zoo again, she goes, you can always work in a workshop, why not get a try? And 16 years later, I'm still here, so I must like it. Job done. An easy one, eh? If you do it right.
Στο κτηνιατρίο, ο Άνταμ και η ομάδα προετοιμάζονται για το επόμενο στάδιο ανάρρωσης για τη φραγκόκοτα με σπασμένο μυριαίο οστό.
So what I'm doing today is just starting the process of removing all this metalwork. So we're going to cut the connection between the pin which goes in the middle of the bone and the bar which is on the outside of the leg. And it's a process that we call dynamic destabilization. So we're slowly taking the metalwork off to allow the bone to have a little bit more forces applied to it, which will actually encourage it to heal and build some of the struts back in internally, which give the bone its support. If we just took everything off in one go, there's a risk that it could just re-break, because at the moment it's in a fragile state. So this method hopefully will prevent that from happening.
Απαιτείται μια σειρά ακτινογραφιών για να βεβαιωθεί η ομάδα ότι το οστό θεραπεύεται όπως θα έπρεπε.
Okay, right. Yeah, okay, so that's fine. This is our IM pin, so you can see it coming down here and seated in the bottom of the femur here. It looks nice, that's fine. But yeah, I think that looks okay. It looks okay. It is difficult to see healing when you've got all that metalwork in the way, but I can see some signs of some callus forming, which is that kind of fluffy repairing bone, which looks good. And there's also no signs of the bone fading away around the pins, which would be an indicator of infection. So I'm happy with what we can see there. We're gonna cut that connection.
Okay. Can you respond?
It's all right.
It's a swab.
That's why we have a swab there.
Ευτυχώς το μάκτρο μπατονέτα στο εργαλείο κοπής υψηλής ταχύτητας δεν έχει προκαλέσει καμία βλάβη στην ασθενή.
Fine. Okay. I'll just give them a wipe maybe and then we'll flush them. That connection between the X-fix and the pins in the bone is now out the way, which is what we wanted, so that's fine. Good, I'm happy, yeah.
Happy?
Αυτό το πρώτο μέρος της δυναμικής αποσταθεροποίησης πήγε καλά, αλλά η φραγκόκοτα απαιτεί συνεχή παρατήρηση.
Calm yourself.
Ενώ όλα τα σημάδια δείχνουν ότι η φραγκόκοτα αναρρώνει πλήρως, έχει ακόμα πολύ δρόμο να διανύσει.
She still needs to have 2 more anesthetic procedures and x-rays to take everything off. So it's always kind of a little bit concerning when we have to anesthetize a bird for any reason. But I think what we're seeing so far is good signs. It's all going in the right direction at the moment.
Στα Highlands οι αγριόγατες υποβάλλονται σε πλήρη έλεγχο υγείας υποκαταστολή. Πρώτος είναι ο Ράνοχ, το μεγαλύτερο αρσενικό.
So Rannoch is a beautiful big boy. He's already contributing to the Scottish Wildcat breeding program. He's sired some litters of kittens. One of the reasons we're anaesthetising him is to do the regular disease checks, to make sure that he's free from any feline infectious diseases that might be a problem in future.
Για τους κτηνίατρους Έλλη και Άλις αυτή είναι μια δουλειά ρουτίνας, αλλά σημαντική.
We'll swab his eyes and his throat and then we'll send that to the lab and make sure he doesn't have any infectious diseases before he moves to the breeding centre. His temperature looks normal.
So his oral exam's good, his teeth all look fine, there's no fractures, there's no sign of infection. He hasn't got any injuries around his mouth or his face.
So the things that we look for when we're doing a wildcat health check is really a full nose to tail MOT. So not just the clinical, looking at the teeth, listening to the heart, palpating the abdomen, making sure that the reproductive organs are all present and functional. We also do blood tests and other tests to make sure that the animals aren't carrying diseases, that the animals are fully vaccinated, that they're microchipped. So we're trying to do everything we possibly can to make sure that these animals are as healthy as possible. And healthy animals will have a better quality of life. So we're just collecting a urine sample now, so Alice is just gently expressing his bladder. Urine is a really valuable sample for cats because it tells us how well the kidneys are working if he's concentrating his urine well.
33 and 15.
Okay, so his respiratory rate and heart rate are nice and stable. Alice is just collecting a blood sample from his jugular vein. So we can see from the colour of the blood that he's actually really well oxygenated, which is great. So we'll send that to the lab and they can tell us all sorts of information about him that we can't necessarily get from just looking at him.
Η εξέταση του Ράνοχ είναι ενδελεχής.
So because he's a breeding male, his genitals are quite important for us to check that they're healthy and look fine. So he's got little spines on his penis that are fairly well developed. Cats are induced ovulators, so that means that when Rannoch mates a female, he's got to be vigorous enough that he stimulates her to ovulate.
These guys deserve the very best, and we're relying on cats like Rannoch to be the founders of what will hopefully be Scotland's wild-living wildcat population. So these cats are incredibly valuable genetically and as individuals.
We've finished. For a breeding male, he's just absolutely perfect.
Με το πέρας της εξέτασης και με την υγεία του να είναι άριστη, ο Ράνοχ αφήνεται στην περίφραξή του. Αυτή όμως είναι μόνο η αρχή για τους φροντιστές και τους κτηνίατρους. Τις επόμενες 2 ημέρες όλες οι γάτες στο πάρκο θα πιαστούν και θα ελεγχθούν. Στο Εδιμβούργο, οι 7 λευκοί πελεκάνοι εγκαταστάθηκαν με ασφάλεια στον ειδικά διαμορφωμένο περίβολό τους, αν και η αποδοκιμασία τους για τη διαδικασία εμβολιασμού έχει κάνει τον Νικ και τον Μπάρι να βασίζονται σε μια άλλη από τις ικανότητές τους.
So we're just feeding the pelicans so they get, well, as many feeds as they kind of need throughout the day, but roughly around, they're offered roughly around 8 kilograms of fish, 7 kilograms of fish. I'm hoping by throwing it into the water they would come into the water, but the thing is they're not too confident. So you're just trying to throw the fish to wherever they are. If that's land, if that's water, however you can get it into their mouths, that's fine really.
He's not giving me a shot yet. He's hogging all the fish. This is where mine goes over the fence and hits a visitor.
Oh, that was good. Ideally,
you're just assaulting them with fish.
Normally where we feed them, they're close enough you can just chuck it in their mouths basically. But where we're feeding them at the moment, it's a bit more tested, you see. It becomes slightly more problematic in the mornings because they each have to have a vitamin. So you're specifically having to target certain pelicans, and one of them has meds as well. So them being quite a distance from you does make it slightly more difficult.
Ευτυχώς υπάρχουν μόνο 7 πελεκάνοι και ο Μπάρι ξέρει καλό σημάδι.
Right in the mouth.
They'll be happier in this enclosure and the public will be able to see them. And they're amazing animals, so it makes more sense for them to be in a water-free enclosure like this.
Είναι μια μεγάλη μέρα στην περίφραξη των Πάντα, με τους κτηνίατρους Σάιμον και Στεφ να καταφθάνουν για να κάνουν τον έλεγχο υγείας και τον εμβολιασμό στον Γιάνγκ Ουάνγκ. Είναι μια ευκαιρία να δοκιμαστεί η εκπαίδευσή του.
Yeah, we may have to use something more of a reward than carrot, but try and see how he behaves.
Δεν θα βρείτε εμβόλια πάντα σε απόθεμα στο τοπικό κατάστημα κατοικίδιων ζώων, οπότε αυτό πρέπει να μεταφερθεί από ένα εργαστήριο στη Βόρεια Αμερική. Υπάρχει άγχος να γίνουν όλα σωστά.
Good boy. So I've got him in the back, so I'll just get him on the blood sleeve. Is that the easiest bit to do? Okay. Come on then. What a good boy. I know, you're all right. Right on. Right on, please. Good boy. Right, just wait. Good boy, good boy. Good boy. Hold. Hold, hold. Good boy. Yeah, yeah. Hold. Good boy. Hang on. Good boy. And hold. And no, it's just good lad. Yeah. Come on then, you can come off the sleeves just now. Good boy.
Τώρα ο υγειονομικός έλεγχος.
I know. Good lad. Show Simon your teeth. Good boy. Come up. Up. Yeah, he's going to sit down. I'll get him to scooch in. Yeah, scooch. Good boy.
Ο Γιάνγκ Ουάνγκ ξέρει την Άλισον και τον Σάιμον για πάνω από 10 χρόνια. Πέρασαν χρόνο μαζί του ακόμα και στην Κίνα, πριν ταξιδέψει για το Εδιμβούργο.
I've got to know him really, really well. And I think he and I certainly seem to have a good working relationship. He's always been extremely positive, and we can sort of have a conversation, as it were, and he'll respond in a positive fashion.
What a good boy you were.
You added all that. It's about £1,200 a panda.
Keep that in mind. That was fabulous. He behaved extremely well, so he was very good. Considering we're putting a needle in him for a few battens of carrot, then, you know, I think the trade-off's pretty good.
Στο πάρκο άγριας ζωής των Highlands, οι εργασίες έχουν σχεδόν ολοκληρωθεί στα καταφύγια αγριόγατων. Οι τελικές προετοιμασίες βρίσκονται σε εξέλιξη για να διασφαλιστεί ότι αυτή η γωνιά του πάρκου θα παραμείνει όσο το δυνατόν πιο απομονωμένη και προστατευμένη.
This is our change-in area, but it's also our biosecurity fire break. It means that everything that stays in the centre, and everything that stays outside.
Βιοασφάλεια σημαίνει ότι όλα πρέπει να απολυμμένονται για να αποφευθεί η εξάπλωση οποιασδήποτε ασθένειας στις γάτες και στα μικρά τους. Για φροντίστριες όπως η Ρέιτσελ, η Εστέλ και η Σάντρα, αυτό σημαίνει πολύ καθάρισμα και αλλαγές ρούχων.
Yes, even though we're obviously cleaning our boots before we go in, it just makes it even better that we're being extra safe. But these boots will never go into the breeding centre, so we can't contaminate these cats with anything else.
Oh, this hole goes straight into our underpants.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got underpants on?
I mean our under trouser.
Yeah.
Oh, that's handy.
Someone's got my wellies on.
Mine feel big, so maybe me.
Yeah, does it say 6 on the side?
I don't know.
Και δεν είναι μόνο οι άνθρωποι που πρέπει να είναι βιοασφαλείς.
Are you bringing the vehicle in? You'll have to get sprayed.
So we've got a disinfectant spray for any vehicles that are coming in, just to make sure that they're not going to carry anything from elsewhere in the park into the breeding centre. Because there's no point in us doing all this and trying to be completely biosecure and then bring in a digger that could have been anywhere. That's what does it. That's what brings something in that shouldn't be here. So.
Εκτός από τη βιοασφάλεια, οι γάτες πρέπει να αισθάνονται ασφαλείς, οπότε η ομάδα φροντίζει να έχει πολλά φρεσκοβαμμένα κρυσφύγετα.
You know, when the cats are in them, you know, they're really lovely and snug. When we're putting them in, we're just putting them into nice cozy corners, so when the cats do retreat into them, they feel nice and secure and safe. Really?
Unlike my dad will be in the background going, she's got that at the wrong angle. We've got a couple of little bits left to do. Once we've done all the inside, we need to put a bit of cover around the outside because this is quite exposed. And then that's it. We just want cats now. We need cats.
Μετά σχεδόν 2 μήνες παραμονής στο κουτί ανάπαυσης, η Φραγκόκοτα που είχε το σπασμένο μοιραίο είναι έτοιμη να κάνει το γιγάντιο άλμα σε μια εξωτερική περίφραξη. Και για τον επικεφαλής φροντιστή Στον Μίχαν, αυτό είναι τεράστια ανακούφιση.
So she just had her pins removed 3-4 days ago now, and she's putting weight on. She's moving around the box just fine. So yeah, she's done great in terms of that recovery aspect of it. We did say that she's probably the best bird to have had this happen to because she's so relaxed, so calm. So that's actually helped her overall her recovery. If it had been one of the birds that would have a bit more jumpy or aggressive, it would have been much more difficult to keep them calm, to keep that bone setting and stuff. It's a very nervous process because months of recovery can be undone in a split second. So it's something that we're always very worried about. She's going up to one of our off-show enclosures. It's a smaller holding area, and it's allowing us the opportunity to introduce the 2 females together, assess how she does in a slightly larger space as part of her recovery, and it's also a quieter spot so that there might be less things to give her a fright, which could then obviously any reaction to some stimulus like that could cause her to further injure herself. So it's a sort of nice halfway house before she gets introduced to a larger aviary. Hello. Hello. That's good. Got a nice thick layer of the substrate as well, so. She's moving quite nice. Yeah, she's moving quite nicely actually. Slightly stiff, but I think that's expected, yeah. Great. I'll go and grab the other one.
Είναι σημαντικό σε αυτό το στάδιο να την κοινωνικοποιήσουν ξανά, ειδικά επειδή έχει απομονωθεί για τόσον καιρό. Και ποιος καλύτερος να της κάνει παρέα από την αδελφή της? Ωστόσο, η αδελφούλα της δεν έχει την ίδια ήρεμη συμπεριφορά.
So far that's gone pretty well actually. The female that has the broken legs casually, calmly walked out with no crashing around, so she hasn't immediately re-damaged her injury. But yeah, you can instantly see the other bird there. She just came flying out and crashing out. So it was the difference in behaviour between them is quite evident. There's no aggression. There's no sort of winding the other up to say increase any likelihood of damage. So I think it's going quite nicely so far.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a successful outcome and really everything we could hope to have been. I think really the hope now is that she can live her life here. I think we're hoping in the future that we will get another male and pair her up as well. And there's no reason why she couldn't go on to be a breeding animal in the flock now as well.
Τα νέα από το πάρκο άγριας ζωής των Highlands είναι καλά. Οι φροντιστές έχουν μεταφέρει 2 από τις αγριόγατες τους στα νέα καταλύματα και ένα βήμα πιο κοντά στην απελευθέρωσή τους, στη φύση.
We're really pleased with how the cats have settled in to the breeding centre so far. I think you always feel quite privileged to work with any animal. I mean, all zookeepers will say that, but to be able to work with a species that has primarily gone extinct and that we're essentially going to reintroduce is not many people can say that in this country in particular. So it feels very special to be a part of, and I feel very privileged to be able to be part of that.
In terms of career highlights, yeah, this is definitely at the top of the list. There's not really much more exciting project for me personally. It's a huge achievement that we're here, and hopefully we can give wildcats the best chance ever.